Welcome to Objections with Stan Willis. I remain not Stan Willis. This is Stan Willis. Stan, how are you?
I remain Stan Willis.
I was thinking about this on the way. Maybe Nate and I will talk about branding of this show. Mm-hmm. Do you have like a nickname? Like, could we call you Willie Willis?
Stan is really kind of a nickname.
Does that stand for Stanuel?
Stanley.
Stan Lee?
Stanley.
Like from Marvel?
Yes.
Is it 2 words?
No, it's just 1 word.
Could we make it 2 words? Because Stan Lee is more known than Stan.
For you, it can be 2 words.
Okay, so I'm going to go home and draw a bunch of characters of what I think Stan would look like as Stan Lee.
I can't wait.
I know that we started on a high right here. This is the best opening we've ever done, and I want to bring this thing crashing down.
It's not going to get any better than this.
No,
so
that was a highlight. That's as good as it was.
If you're
get.
expecting more, go ahead and turn it off now.
Anybody who's watching or listening to this expects nothing. So here's my question, because we're both lawyers. We both practice law in different ways. I'm more of a Mad Max type of law person, and you are a lawyer. I believe in slaughter.
So basically, you just think you know everything. And I don't like. And I have a license that says I know everything.
First of all, do you know what's funny? I don't walk in here and go, "Let me tell you all the things I know, Stan." I have a license. Okay, your license doesn't get me very far. Okay, I have a driver's license. It doesn't make me Jeff Gordon. Okay,
it kind of does.
Wait, does NASCAR?
Does he even have a driver's license?
I was going to ask, do you have to have a driver's license to drive in NASCAR?
I don't know. I doubt it. I mean,
I thought you had a license. I thought you knew everything. I thought you knew everything. Nate's going to die over there. Okay. Listen, I need to bring you back home to the ranch so we can get this thought out, because we can literally talk about.
So what are we talking about?
So today, we're going to talk about YouTube. Is this very meta? We're on YouTube talking about YouTube. Here's the new YouTube policy.
It's like Inception, man.
We are being incepted right now.
Are you in a dream? Is this a dream?
Yeah.
Wait, are we dreaming?
We should do an episode about just the ending of Inception to know what really happened.
I'd say pinch me, but I'm afraid you'd do it.
Listen, I wouldn't. I would go waist down, if you know what I mean. So I'm not afraid to express my affection for you.
Oh my gosh.
See, it wasn't going to get better.
Seriously, turn it off now.
Yeah, it's going to get real weird and sticky. So here's the point we're trying to make about YouTube, right? YouTube is a content creating site. That's how it came to be. That's what it's known for. And now YouTube is going to go in and remove channels and remove videos that don't go with the, let's call it the government narrative or the healthcare narrative. Mm-hmm. And we're not going to get into the subject, but wink, you know what we're talking about. Yes. I wasn't winking at you. You weren't looking at me.
It seemed like you were winking at me.
I'm going to wink at you now just because now it's appropriate.
Appreciate it there, Mr. Bond.
So licensed and bonded. So my question to you is, if I'm a content creator and that's how I make my living, right? Through ad revenues, through every time I create something, we can have deals inside of this show where we're advertising like Louis Fish and Chips. We get paid. That is me creating that. If the YouTube group can come in and censor that, is that censoring free speech as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely it is. And they're getting around all that by saying, well, this is not the government, and the constitutional right to free speech really only controls with the government controlling it, but private entities can control speech. That's kind of the thing that they're hanging their hat on now. I think they've got a problem because there's always this public utilities exception, which is how they regulate, anything from trains to power companies, gas companies. And I think that if we're being intellectually honest and consistent, things like platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter should all be regulated in the same way. They should. They're not government entities, but the power that they wield is government-like, because there's no. It's an essential monopoly. Right?
Because there's nobody on top of them really setting the rule. They're setting the rules for their own.
I mean, Facebook's competition is MySpace.
I'm still on it.
I'm sure you are.
I think it's going to
you and 8 other people.
Yeah, it's me, Tom, and a bunch of women that own cats.
So you know that be the I mean if you start looking at market shares, the market share that's not Facebook is negligible.
Right.
If you look at Instagram, the market share that's not Instagram is negligible. So I think because of that, at least the way I look at things, it's the same as, how many power companies do you have running wires in front of your house so that you can tap into that and have electricity?
Me personally, 3.
You have 3, really? Well,
I just like to support small business.
That's awesome.
I keep everybody employed.
The rest of the planet has 1.
Well, I'm a fancy boy.
I think that because of that, I think that these constitutional protections should also be applied to them. But that's not really how things are working out so far.
But let me ask you this, because if you look at one of the headlines that came out yesterday by, I think it was CNN, and it was talking about...
Oh, wait, hold that thought. Follow up. Did you see Brittany's dad got removed?
Yeah. And did you see why? Because of this show.
Because
if we weren't talking about, who had ever heard of hashtag Free Britney before this show?
Right. I think that we have to have some part in that. Of course, he's not completely removed yet, but it sounds like he's going to be. Okay,
well,
back.
What was your thought?
What was your thought?
That was the most important thing. I'm glad that we touched on that.
Yeah, I read an article yesterday on a news show that I don't think I'm allowed to say the name of out loud because we'll get banned. Yeah. So I saw it on a news show. Anyway, yeah.
I was happier about that than any news I saw the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And just because I know that this show should just be called Freedom Fighting with Stan and Mike.
Amen.
Because we're both attorneys.
And Nate. Stan and Nate, yeah.
He just edits the thing.
No,
he's clapping for himself.
No,
dude, he's the guy that wins a technical award.
We can't run the camera.
Well, we can't reach it from here. We've established, by the way, before we started, the difference in 6 feet and 10 feet.
Yes, we did do that. Yes.
We didn't use the metric system. I was trying to do that, but I think that's like 30-aught yards.
The difference between 6 feet and 10 feet is a little over a meter.
Right. Well, as Nate always says, is the difference in 6 inches and 3 is cold water. So, I want to go to this thought though about if you're saying that this is, I don't want to say fake news. What's the term for it? This is misinformation.
Right.
What is the difference between YouTube and if MSNBC says we've got the infamous tape? Remember that was a big deal, and then no one had the tape, and then you find out it's fake, or that not fake. It's just it never happened. What is the difference?
It's illusory.
Yes, I knew that term because I didn't go to law school. But what is the difference in the two? Because if you report something and it turns out to be false, like certain laptops, that didn't happen. I'm going to ban your channel. I'm going to ban your Instagram and Facebook, and then you find out it is true.
I was going to say, didn't they just find out that was true?
Well, this is like the second or third.
That was like I actually saw that on like CNN or something.
Do you know what I want to know? How much money does Hunter Biden make? Because I only have 1 computer. I can't afford to lose 3, which means he has one he's using now. And the other question is, if I lose that and I get a new computer, does my iTunes automatically transfer? Because I worry about backing up that library. Nate, that's a question for you. Google that. Not now. You're doing a show. I'm just concerned about somebody that loses that many laptops.
Well, it's a different level of.
Have you ever lost your phone?
Yes.
Not your flip phone. I'm saying like your smartphone. Nobody puts those things down. And if they do, they're in a panic because we all know there's pictures on there. No one should see.
I'm not supposed to put it down.
You're not supposed to put it down? As a lawyer?
I'm not supposed to put my phone down?
You're allowed to. I don't recommend it.
I don't carry it around with me.
Like when you're golfing, do you have it in your pocket?
Well, I do because I have this cool app through Gen that tells me like distances and stuff like that.
So you're cheating.
So no.
Your friends who probably don't have smartphones, who have flip phones, can't keep up with you?
They all have little rangefinders, which are probably more accurate.
You got to get better friends.
I can't stand and hold the thing steady enough to
like a periscope
to get a good range. So I just get frustrated and just guess anyway.
Doesn't it just makes you feel better? It's like when you look and you go, this drive's going to be 3 hours and you make it in 2:58. You feel like you cheated the machine.
Yeah.
I kind of get that.
Yeah. I think they do that on purpose. Although I find that the Google Maps is actually pretty good. They're pretty good at guessing.
But don't you try to outrace that?
I do, absolutely.
Every time it says this is 34.
But I never speed.
No, I don't either.
Because that would be breaking the law.
I take speed, but I get there in plenty of time. Safely. I don't mind. I don't mind a good
speed limits are
barbiturate.
more like suggestions, anyways. Right?
Yeah.
You have to take me to shore, according to the code of the Order of the Brethren.
First, your return to shore was not part of our negotiations nor our agreement, so I must do nothing. And secondly, you must be a pirate for the Pirate's Code to apply, and you're not. And thirdly, the code is more what you'd call guidelines than actual rules.
Well, I do like when there's always that person that's weaving in and out of traffic. They don't get caught, but it's the grandmother going 45 miles an hour, and she gets pulled over.
45 and a 40.
Back the blue. So getting back to the fact that there is no penalty for reporting things that are baseless assumptions, there's no penalty for that. There's also no penalty on Twitter for that.
Right.
So there was the horse medication story from Rolling Stone. They reported that gunshot victims couldn't be seen in this hospital.
Right.
They took a quote from a guy who hadn't worked there in 2 months. They were seeing patients and they weren't overrun. Right. Rachel Maddow today, this morning, it's still a pinned tweet that this horse medication is keeping people from being seen. That is not a true story. And Rolling Stone didn't take this article down. They went back and said, update to this story. Right. But MSNBC didn't have to do that.
It's. I think the problem that you have with most reporting that's going on. First of all, any idea of having an independent eye and trying to just report the news is gone. Everybody's biased and everybody's openly admitting their bias. There are very few. There are a few that I think, there are a couple that I think are actually unbiased. But or actually attempt to be unbiased. I mean, everybody has biases, but the main deal of reporting is that everybody's biased. And the frightening thing is that reporters are no longer. So the way I always understood it back in the day, I mean, with guys like Glenn Greenwald, who's been deplatformed on numerous occasions, and some of the others of that time frame. When something happened or something was reported, they investigated it.
Right.
Before they said anything about it. Well, you look at things like Nicki Minaj, right? So what Nicki Minaj did was she got on the VAERS website. I mean, the published information, not some, she wasn't on some, thing that she found with the Tor browser, right? That's coming out of the dark parts of Ukraine. This is what our government puts out there as information. So she got on there and she saw that this particular side effect that she was talking about from the thing was happening. And so she says something about it. And immediately she was attacked by people who weren't verifying.
Right.
And that to me is frightening. That to me is a frightening thing.
But don't you think we are attacking the people? Like we're attacking celebrities to the point, and I did not mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
But I wanted to get to this because we always run out of time. Bradley Beal, Jonathan Isaac of the NBA both came out and they're asking all these guys, did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it?
Right.
And Bradley Beal says, but you can still get it, right? So even if you get it, and he was trying to have a conversation, and they thought it was awkward because he's just saying, so even if you get that, and he did catch it last year, and he's saying you could still get it. So we're not getting out of this.
Right.
We are going to live with this. This is just kind of you got a cold, you're going to take medicine for it for a while, blah blah blah, and then you're going to get a cold again. You're going to do the same thing, repeat these steps. There's no getting out of it. And I still think that there are people that believe, I've talked to people that believe if everybody gets that taken care of, it goes away. It's never going away.
Well, no, and that's that's part of the problem with with just the overwhelming coverage in the press coverage is nobody's thinking, and everybody's. You have a good portion of people out there who are just watching all this and they're frightened, like literally frightened of this. And I'm not saying. I mean, there are people who should be frightened. If you're over 80, or if
you weigh 400 pounds,
if you have certain issues with you're not a typical healthy person, you should be frightened. You should take steps to protect yourself. But for the rest of the people, I mean, people just ignoring the statistics and just being afraid because of all the coverage that's out there.
Right.
And
well, it's incessant, right? So you think that it's never. If I scare you, there's two things that when we talk about marketing, it's all about making you feel either sad or happy.
Right.
Because when you are middle of the road, you're happy, you're content. In marketing, I have to scare you or make you happy so you buy stuff because it's comforting. Either I rewarded myself or I'm scared, so I need this to calm me down. There is no, if we look at this is all being driven by clicks and ad revenues. MSNBC's ratings are barely higher than this, and we're in your office and no one should ever give a shit about this. They don't care that they can't get 1 million viewers for an hour. Right. Out of 340 million people.
I'd love to have 1 million viewers, so, pass it on to your friends.
We will give you all the fake news that you need. We'll tell you everything.
We'll make something up.
Donald Trump is a unicorn. Mark it down. But
an orange one.
Yeah. I don't see color. All right. So, actually, that's a lie. So, what I would say is that if it's about the dollars and who supports it, Big Pharma, the war machine, because why does Boeing advertise? There's only so many planes, right? The gas companies, I don't mean just natural gas, I mean gasoline companies. Why is BP running an ad? You have very few places to get gasoline anymore.
Make sure that I go there instead of Sheetz, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Have you ever been to a Sheetz?
I love Sheetz.
Oh, my God. They have pretzel bread there.
They do?
Don't go to BP. First of all, it's watered down gasoline.
You can't get a bag of fries at BP.
No, you can.
But you can at Sheetz.
I mean, you can find them in the parking lot, but not fresh
If you have
fries.
the Sheetz app, you can order while you're on the way. So if you're on the road, you can order, your food will be waiting.
Sometimes
for
I feel like you
pump
talk to
your
me
gas.
like I'm an amateur. Like I just got to this country. I just walked up the boat and I know what the app is. I know about Sheetz, man. I brought it up to you. I don't want to argue. I feel like we're having an argument.
Aren't you from Grove City?
Yeah. So we travel.
Is there a Sheetz in Grove City?
Not yet.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Listen, if you go by the 3 burning nooses, though, there's plenty of gasoline and there's an Arby's there. But getting back to what we were saying, you were feeling does someone have a case if they are like Jimmy Dore? I love to watch Jimmy Dore.
Okay.
But Jimmy Dore, number one, they throttle his results so it doesn't always pop up when he's going live. He can handle that. But at some point, if you're going to go back and audit things that I said, you don't have to tell me that it's true or false. It goes against their policy. Your policy can change. I'll give you a better example. I sent a horrible, horrible picture that was a meme that was posted on Instagram as a direct message to a friend. So I didn't post it. I sent it right to them. I got a notification from Instagram that this went against their community guidelines for a message I sent directly to one person. So I thought, that's odd.
Frightens me to think what might be in that message. What do you think, Nate?
What
did he send you?
I can actually tell you what it was, and it wasn't as bad. The picture was bad. That's all I'll say. But the phrasing was hilarious. Yes. So, but here's what was weird. When I went to my Facebook account.
That's why it was greeny.
Yeah. Well, I took it myself in the dark. But when I went to my Facebook account, I got a notification that what I did on Instagram went against their policy.
Yeah.
So I also screenshot that because it's the same company. But it's like, I sent a direct message to somebody else. Does that mean that you're looking at every single thing that's going through our direct messages to one person?
They've got algorithms going on. I mean, a lot of people might have missed it, but Biden actually requested that the ability to actually look into text messages,
Right.
and to actually start policing text messages for misinformation also.
But didn't that start on the 6th? January 6th. After that, they started requesting because they wanted to see.
I don't know if it was if it was right then, or I mean, it was. I'm trying to think, because it was back in the spring sometime. But
they started talking about that. Then.
Fundamentally, they already have the ability. The providers already have the ability to record all the phone conversations and to store all the tweets, not treats.
I really like the way you said that.
Tweets.
Oh, your special little treats in your phone.
Yeah, it's part of the treats in your phone. They already have the ability to do that. If they wanted to, they could remotely examine your phone. I mean, they could actually get in and look at everything you have. They can see all your history. They can see everything you're doing. So if you're looking at porn on your phone, I'm sorry, they know.
So look at the good stuff. Don't waste your time.
But
looking up feed all day. Come on, let's look for good stuff.
But in the end, it's no surprise, because they have the ability to do all that. It's no surprise that they're going to use it.
Right.
That's governments over the years have been notoriously bad about abusing those kinds of powers. If they can get them, they abuse them.
Stan, who came up with the Patriot Act and helped put that into law?
That would have been George W. Bush.
And who helped him do that?
All the
81 million votes helped him do that. Old Jimmy Biden. The guy that's the president right now is
Did George Bush, did he do that?
Oh, he put pen to paper.
I don't remember.
But who helped him draft it?
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Biden helped draft that. He was definitely involved.
It's weird how that kind of comes into play all these years later, where you go, the guy in charge is the guy that helped write this thing. The guy who literally was not a soft on crime guy. And now we're going to go after everything. Right. So I feel like they're going to scan your phone, like you said, to see if there's any, because we did that to people in wars, right? We were making sure any text message going back and forth, and we were gathering all this intel, and we did such a bang up job. Did you know we did so well in Afghanistan? I don't know if you saw it on the news, but it really went well. Yeah. But we had used all that technology against them. Now we have no one else to do it, so we're doing it here.
Keep in mind, there's precedent for, they're talking about a lot of things. There's precedent for rounding people up because they're a threat. You think about in the 40s, Japanese Americans were rounded up because they were a potential threat, and they were held in camps because they were, during the war. In the war, all your freedoms go away.
Well, they're very good with swords. I don't know if you've seen those movies.
Wow. I don't even know what to say.
That's not even stereotypical. I've seen it. I'm just telling you.
So I mean, the courts actually ruled that was permissible, right, that was okay. So we like to say that we have all these freedoms and stuff, but there's precedent for a lot of these things to actually be taken away by the government. It's why your vote counts, and you have to be careful about that.
I'm so glad you said that, because the people that are voting think they're making a choice between two moral human beings, either way you want to see it. And what you're not voting for ever is policy, because they all say the same things: more jobs, safer schools, everything's going to be better. Healthcare is going to be better. At the end of the day, you get the same thing over and over again, at least since Kennedy got sleepy, right? Wink. You know what I mean? Right. Everybody after that.
Yeah, I mean, essentially the issues that become the issues that sway votes tend to be social issues, because those tend to be the issues that people want to talk about and understand and are concerned about. The problem is that the social issues are kind of a feint. They're not. It's not really what it's about.
Right.
And no one in Washington cares about the social issues
because they don't apply to them anyway.
Right. The social issues are to appease us, and the issues that you really have to be looking at are where do they stand on free speech and Second Amendment rights and search and seizure rights and 10th Amendment issues. I mean, those are the things that we ought to be considering when we look to vote. But those aren't the things that typically get talked about. So we end up voting for the person who has the best campaign ads. And
that's how I do it. I make my choices by who's the most attractive and who yells the least. That's how I got married. That's how I vote. That's what I'm going to do.
And, typically, I mean, you think about every election that I can remember really since, we'll just say every election that I've actually been able to vote in has come down to a choice between two not so good candidates.
You can say dildos. It's fine.
Okay.
That was a bird that went extinct.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it is. We'll look it up after this. I mean, basically, we've just said today, because we're two, let's say, liberal-leaning people. Would you say that? Into freedoms. Vote for the person who puts their boot on your neck a little less harshly. That's going to do it for Objections with Stan Willis. We'll see you next week.